Is Captain America definitely done?
Yeah, I think it's done. I mean, it was a great run, and we went out on such a high note. I mean, what are the chances to have a character span that long a time with that much of a web of stories land on its feet in the final chapter, and to go out on that note, it would be risky to revisit, in my opinion. And like I said, it was just such a good experience. I think it's better just to be left that way.
Oh, but very quickly, I have to say, another movie we loved you in was, of course, Knives Out.
Oh, right.
That movie, I mean, it just went gangbusters, didn't it, that movie?
Yeah, it did. Well, I mean, people love a good murder mystery, and it's one of those genres that I don't think has been explored as much as maybe some other genres in film. So I think people were really excited about having one done really well.
And as well as the plot, you know, people loved the plot of Knives Out, they loved the characters, but they also loved the cable knit sweater.
Yeah, they did. Who doesn't love a cable knit? That's my favorite thing about living in Massachusetts. You get a good 6-month window where a cable knit works.
But no, people went mad for it. It turned into headline news. Everyone's going nuts over Chris Evans' Knives Out sweater. Chris Evans as a sweater is getting people hot and bothered over knitwear. And like Esquire, here's how you can get Chris Evans' sweater from Knives Out. Presumably, you go to a shop. You know, it's not rocket science.
Well, that's my goal in my career, to try and let some sort of prop or inanimate object do the heavy lifting for me, and then take all the credit.
And presumably you can never wear one again.
You know, I do get a little bit of side eyes when I wear one now. It's a little bit of like, oh, yeah, he's wearing a cable, you know. But I figure a couple years, I can't stay away.
But someone in your family can wear one. How beautiful does Dodger look?
Oh, he hated it. He hated it. And he looked so good in it. But he was, that look is a look of disgust.
I think the thing he doesn't like is no sleeves. I think he feels emasculated.
A cable knit vest doesn't quite have the same appeal, does it?
No.
Talking about Dark Waters, one of the good things about, I guess for you, talking about this film is going in, we know DuPont did it. You can't spoil this plot for us. Because your experience on Avengers, as you've had a litany of plot spoilers.
Excuse me? Me?
Well, no,
I'm the best.
You're marginally better than Tom Holland, but that's it. Yeah.
I taught Tom Holland.
Tell us about was it the premiere of Thor?
Come on.
Oh, go on. Go on.
Oh,
it's all over now. They can't fire you. They can't fire you.
No, they tried.
So, if you don't know this story, this is what happened.
Are you cutting?
No. Just cutting to you talking.
So they asked me to do social media backstage, and at that time it was like Facebook Live had just hit the apps, and so I was back there doing my Facebook Living, and I thought I hit the off button, but I didn't realize it had 2 different off buttons. And I went off, ran to my seat. They started the movie. I put my phone in my pocket. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like 5 minutes in, and my phone is blowing up. I'm just like, bzz, bzz, bzz. And everyone and their mother was texting me from all over the world to tell me that my phone was on, and I was live broadcasting the movie. But of course, I'm a gentleman, so I don't check my phone in the movie. So finally, they sent a lady down, and she, hey. And I'm like, what? And she's like, your phone is on. I was like, no, it's not. It's in my pocket. She's like, it's on. And I pulled it out, and I just like, oh, shit. I get a call from Kevin Feige.
Oh, the big boss.
The boss. He's like, what are you doing, man? I said, Kevin, it was an accident. I swear to God. They told me to use the Facebook Live. I don't know how to use it. He's like, you can't do this stuff. I was like, no, you're right, sir. Yeah, absolutely right.
Sir.
And the next day, I showed up to do press. and I'm hurting. I can't look anyone in the eyes. And I walk over to him to say sorry, and he grabs me in a bear hug. And he's like, that was genius! We got more press from that than the whole premiere! We couldn't have imagined doing something that good. All they heard was laughing.
And you can't even escape Fleabag in the house you're in, can you? Because from series 1, the wall of penises, that's in your house.
That is in my house, yes. They're all here, keeping me company.
Are they close at hand? Can we have a look?
They are. They're actually stored here while they're waiting to go into the office. Because I'm meant to be moving into my office, whenever lockdown is over, and I'm hoping it will eventually become a hat stand or something adorable like that. But this is who welcomes people when they come to the door. I mean, they're quite. I honestly don't know what's happened to that one. Can you see? Anyway, so it's been here, and a couple of months ago, and my sister and I live here, and when we put it there first, we were like it would be temporary, and then when you just put something down in your house, and then you don't think about it for ages, and then it just becomes invisible to you, and you forget that you have 12 massive penises at your front door. And this delivery guy came a few months ago and opened the door, and I just completely forgot. He kind of had to bring something in, and he was knocking against the cocks as he was coming in, and he was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, and I suddenly saw them again for the first time in ages, and I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. And he just looked me dead in the eye, and he went, it's art, never apologize for art. That was such a cool move from him.
Over all the time you haven't been doing it, the show, as you guys were saying, never goes away. It's constantly on television. Do you ever find yourself drawn into watching them?
I don't look for it, but occasionally, you're going...
Yeah.
And, oh, dear. There was one night in a hotel somewhere, I'd flown in, I had ordered room service, and I was flicking through, and there was, Star Trek, Next Generation. OK, let's see what's going on. I'll just watch it for a couple of minutes. Well, I got hooked. And then there was a ring of the doorbell, and my order arrived, my room service order arrived, and the waiter came in, looked at me, looked at the television, and I thought, he's going to go away and tell the entire kitchen, it is the saddest thing I've ever... This guy is upstairs, alone, having room service, watching himself.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
I was famous.
That's big comfort. Thank you.
Yeah. Wait, do you do that?
See, it's always a coincidence. It's always that little awkward moment. For me, it was on a plane. Sometimes when your movies are playing on the airplane, and you get up and go to the bathroom, and you just look at the screens on the seats, and you're like, oh, that's me. Damn, everybody on the plane is watching the movie right now. And you hear sniffles and people crying and stuff like that. But it's the walk back from the bathroom as they're crying and looking up at you. And they're trying to connect the two. So it's always, I've had those little moments.
We talked about the being on hits. You're on Grey's Anatomy, you're on Killing Eve, but there's another thing you were in that people come up to ask you about, isn't there?
This is actually quite from the past. It was actually, I think, my first American movie that I shot. Oh, no, I'm thinking about, you know what? I was thinking about Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean, who is obviously a very, very, very famous character for you. That movie, his first movie, was my very first gig in America.
You're in the Mr. Bean movie,
dude. I mean, I wish that you could just show. Yeah, right now, I'm in Mr. Bean. It was my very first gig in LA on a film in LA. So we shot that. It must have been the fall of '95, and I met Rowan and Harris Yulin, fantastic cast, and Peter McNichol, who is just a genius. I was very young. I was probably around 23, 24, and I had just come to LA, and it was recently on television, and I was like, I cannot believe my hair. But that was, I gotta tell you, such a great experience. There's a scene when we're all together in a conference room, and Rowan was doing his thing, and we could never get through a take. And it was such a great, rich experience for me. shooting. That was my first big film.
Okay, we've got the. This is you. We found it. This is so live. You speak, we find. We've got the picture. There she is. Well, that is elaborate hair. But also, isn't it great that, because someone else might have come to LA and been in the Mr. Bean movie, but then never been in other things. So they don't get to look back and, enjoy it.
It's interesting. It's like if you can just hang on. If you can just stick around and hang on, it's amazing all the things that you learn that come back to you and that you can then, refer to many years later on your show. It's but I think the one that you were talking about, it was just another one of my first earlier American films was a film called Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway and the great Julie Andrews, and that's the one.
And
that
you
also
played a vice principal.
Yes, I played. I went through, with actors, you can go through seasons of things. I played at one point from the mid to the late 90s, all I played were detectives. And then I got a lot of teachers. And then I moved into doctors, but like a lot. And then I moved into a lot of people were wanting me to play like psychiatrists and therapists. And then I would have to be very, very judicious of how many doctors I would play. But yes, this was the character of a vice principal.
And there's a line people like you saying from that movie.
And I haven't seen it since, but I remember it. This is a phone.
Okay. Mime, very good.
This is a fine, very good mime. Theater school. The Queen is coming. I think that's the one.
Beautiful. It moved me. I've got goosebumps. Now, Daniel Radcliffe, presumably you are familiar with Miriam's potty mouth because... are you? Because you were in Harry Potter, but did you actually work together?
Yeah.
Yes, we
absolutely.
did.
But I don't remember. I've been told there was a swear jar involved on set, but I can't remember that. I don't even remember you swearing a lot in front of...
I was probably careful when it was you, but when, with the other kids, I didn't bother.
He's the lead. Yeah.
I was just talking backstage, if that's what you call that funny little grubby area. And apparently it's 20 years since Harry Potter came out.
Since we started filming the first
one.
And your balls have dropped since then, I can tell you that.
It's a relief to us all.
I hope so. Yeah, because they're just wee kids then.
We get it, yes.
It's just, yeah.
But it's interesting because Professor Sprout, which, you were in the second film and the last film.
Yeah, I should have been in all of them.
Yes.
That was a grave oversight, and I'm holding you responsible.
I told them.
But anyway, it was wonderful to be in the two that I was in, and I'm very proud of it.
But you do get recognised as Professor Sprout.
I do. I mean, I think I've changed since then, but people do recognise me. And funnily enough, in Lithuania,
Lithuania?
Have you come just to see Professor Sprout?
I don't think so.
Are the films called Professor Sprout and the Deadly Allergy?
No, but I was mobbed in Lithuania. Maybe because I was Jewish, I don't know. I'm the only one there.
Sorry.
Stop cheering now. But I just think that's incredible. Like, you're being mobbed in Lithuania and you were Professor Sprout. Imagine being this guy.
I know. What was it like?
I mean, it's weird and funny, and I think the best way to see it always was like weird and funny because and it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's in your life a lot, and sometimes it's not in terms of getting recognised. And there's been lots of very odd moments. I was chased out of a science museum in Spain, and I was just like, but it was sort of fine because everything was in Spanish there, and I couldn't understand anything inside, so it was time to leave anyway.
Yes.
And then, but yeah,
but someone thought you were something else in New York recently.
Oh yeah. You know what? Actually, this did not come up in with it. Yeah. So I did recently. So me and my girlfriend fostered a dog, and we sort of got our friends to adopt it. This isn't unnecessary for the story. There's a dog with me. I was on the street with this dog, and my girlfriend was in the shop, and so and it was very cold. And I got my hoodie and my fleece hoodie, and then a big coat over that. And the dog was really cold, so I was like, "Oh, I'll just kneel by you and like stroke you and like try and keep you warm." And then then I saw this guy like look up at me like 10 yards away and smile, and I was like, yeah, and just carried on. And then he walked past me, and he came back. Like, he got about 5 steps past me, and then just reappeared with a $5 bill over my shoulder and just went, "Get yourself a coffee, mate." And I really, like, my girlfriend came out, and I was like, I don't think I'm wearing nice clothes, I thought. Like, I don't know. Yeah, so I was very much, that was a wake-up call. Apparently I have to maybe, you know, shave more
Was your
often.
dog on a string?
No. See, I do maintain, because the person that owns the dog has also been mistaken for a homeless person with this dog. I think the dog just looks very cold and sweet and vulnerable.
Blame the dog.
No, I know. But yeah,
The dog looks cold.
you know, just shivers and just little and thin.
hungry.
Yeah. And,
No, here's the thing. This is amazing. So didn't the tour sell out before your debut album came out?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Just raw sex appeal.
People saw a picture and they went, yes.
I mean, you look at me and you think, I'm going to have a feast for the eyes. yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But, like, it's an arena tour.
It's lots of seats.
Yeah.
Lots of bums and seats and lots of money in my fucking pocket. That's it. You know what I mean? It's big.
And I like when you said
Listen, this is not my first glass of red wine. Fuck me. I'm having a good fucking time, Graham. It's great to be here.